Today, I'm joined by Sean Milne, who is a corporal with the Alberta RCMP Provincial Financial Crime Team. And today, we're going to be talking about Fraud Prevention Month. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Sean. Could you start off by telling me a bit about Fraud Prevention Month and why it is so important?
Prevention Month is an annual event in Alberta. It's managed by the Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association. The goal is to educate the public on how to identify scams and prevent themselves from falling victims to it, because it is a multi-million dollar issue that grows every year, and we want to prevent people from falling prey to that.
Yeah, perfect. And then, what are the most common ways of fraud seen in Canada?
So there's some ways to measure it in terms of dollar value. The top dollar loss is once again this year, unfortunately, investment scams. So people are lured into false investment opportunities, often involving cryptocurrency, and when they invest their life savings into this, it amounts to a lot of money quite quickly, unfortunately. In terms of actual number of reports, things like identity fraud are always a high one. Credit card fraud, phishing scams. Those ones, the dollar losses tend to be smaller, but they're more widespread and more people are targeted by them. So there's different types to watch out for and different nuances to each of them.
Okay, perfect. And then, what are some of the main goals of Fraud Prevention Month?
Fraud Prevention Month, the goals are to give people the tools to identify them and some easy to remember rules of thumb to help to try to keep in mind anytime they're encountering a situation that might be fraud. So two we often push are scammers rely on urgency and secrecy. So scammers want to present a situation where you're going to think before you act. This is often the case with grandparent scams, where they create the urgency that, oh, your loved one is in trouble, you need to send money right away, or something bad is going to happen. And so they're pushed to just do that, not think about it, not talk to anyone, and just send money. Secrecy is also the key. We see that in romance scams, where the scammer will ask their victim not to tell anybody about it until they're officially a couple or something like that, because they don't want the victim to actually talk to other people about that situation and have the inconsistencies or the lies pointed out to them that might undermine the fraud. They want the victim only speaking to the scammer, so their only source of information is from them. So we always say if you're being pushed to act quickly, or if you're being told to keep something secret, you got to stop and rethink that, because those are two hallmarks of fraud.
Okay, perfect. And that leads into my next question. What should someone do if they feel they're a victim to fraud?
If someone feels they're a victim to fraud, or even if they might potentially be encountering a fraud situation, we always encourage them to contact police. You can contact us to even discuss it, and we can give some insight as to whether that situation might be fraud and prevent you from falling victim to it, or if it's something that you already run into and perhaps become a victim of, we can't investigate it if no one reports. So we need that information from the public to tackle fraud on all the angles we can.
Okay, perfect. And then is there a way that the community can contribute in a way to Fraud Prevention Month?
The best way that someone can contribute to Fraud Prevention Month is talk about it to other people. A lot of the people who come to police fraud prevention presentations are there because they're already alert to fraud. They're often not our target audience. It's the people who don't come to the events and don't read the web pages that we need to reach. So if you have information about fraud, share it around. And if someone around you is acting strange, like they're keeping secrets, or do you think maybe they have an online relationship that they're not willing to talk about, ask about that kind of thing. Because like I say, the scammers don't want those people talking to people around them. So talk to people around you and find out if they might be a victim, loved ones, people who might be vulnerable, parents, grandparents, things like that. The more of kind of a the more of a community defense we present, the better off we all
Okay, perfect. And then, yeah, is there just anything else you wanted to add just for people to be aware of?
Like I say, fraud is fraud is sophisticated. A lot of people think fraudsters are the lone wolf operating in their basement. That's not the case. Fraud is an industry, and so they bring a lot of resources to bear against people to try to trick them. So be alive to that. they're going to have very polished, slick approaches, and so be very cautious.
Perfect. Yeah, that was all the questions I had for you today, Sean. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this, and thank you so much for enlightening me on the importance of Fraud Prevention Month.
Oh, you're very welcome.